Hi, can you hear me? My name's Vinyana, former CISO of Infor and NetApp. What works well with me is I like to learn from vendors. I love learning what you're working on because it might not be for me at that time because I didn't consider it. And so I want to know what's going on with other companies and what led you to build the solution you have. But the problem is reaching out on LinkedIn and doing cold calls is not the way to get to me. The way to get to me is at venues like this or small dinners in Dallas or other places where we can have one-on-one conversation and get time booked.
Yeah, good morning. My name's Elliot Franklin. I'm a CISO at a company called Fortitude Reinsurance, based in Nashville. We insure insurance companies. I've been there for 3 years. And so from a problem statement, from a founder's standpoint, look, I don't envy you. Just walking in the vendor hall, right? Thousands and thousands of vendors a week. Obviously, we're not going to take cold calls or cold emails. But there are a ton of groups like Affinio, like others that come and CISO, I'm going to call it CISO networking now. I don't know how expensive it is for you to get into that, but that's the way to do it. These small, they come and have dinners in Nashville all the time. We have a steak dinner every night. But that's the way that we learn about your products. And I agree, sometimes it's 2 years, 3 years down the road. And I'm like, I remember that. I wrote it down. I put it in my notes, and we'll go back to you because we probably don't have a need for it right away. So many point solutions. So that's what I would share is these intimate, kind of happy hours, networking events, sponsoring ISIS evenings, those kind of things. That's how we learn about your products, not through the general marketing.
Hi, I'm Scott Sean, CISO at Row. I would say put yourself in our shoes. We are increasingly under pressure to operate as high-level business partners, not necessarily technologists first. And so, in that regard, tell me what problem you solve. Like, deep advocate for the space we're in, recognize the challenges within our workforce, project, make some assumptions, but really focus in on the problem that you solve and how you solve it. Second to that, maybe this is a personal preference. Yes to all of the CISO networking engagements. I'm also, I read a lot asynchronously. I ask every vendor for their version of an HBR case study. I love it. I love the proof points. I love feeding it to AI. I think I'm going to get right business justifications. If you want to give me words to say, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, very well said. This which I lead our OT domain. Two things. Number one, I think that I should say, a big German conglomerate. Two things. Number one, do a little bit of homework on us, because at least when it comes to OT, just because I have security in my title doesn't necessarily mean we, do the same thing that all of you do. The IT space is really vast. The OT space is much more niche. And then second, think at different altitudes, because oftentimes we have a lot of pressure from forward, and help us explain in business terms how your technical solutions.
I can't resist sharing. I forgot my favorite pet peeve, especially for the Israeli startups, is like when you tell me you're the the commander swing with time, and it's like, you better tell me what Project Kasaria was first, otherwise I'm not listening to it. Only Israelis are going to know what that is.
Well, that's just a good segue. Cut piece. If you can share what you want to.
Give me 15 minutes of your time. I wouldn't have a time in a day if everyone reaches out to me only 10, 15 minutes of my time. Without, like I said, it's really good advice on, like, send me the information about the company, send me what you're solving. Give me references from other CISOs. That's another big one. We listen to each other. It's like, what are you using for this? What are you using for that? So getting into the club and the recommendations from people who are using the product are very, very valuable.
My pet peeve is you just call me up and start telling me what you're doing. Because I typically won't answer the phone, but I have to sometimes because it could be a family emergency or a doctor or something that is not registered. So I'll answer real quick, even though I'm on a conference call, and say I'm on a conference call, and you still want to keep talking. And so I feel rude but you won't stop talking. And so I'm stuck having to say, I gotta go and hang up.
Yeah, I'll say mine is kind of echoing. The pet peeve is not knowing anything or not asking anything about the environment first. So I know even some of the VC firms now have their own kind of marketing arm that wants to set up a monthly call with me and go over at least one of their companies. And I've given them I've told them my entire architecture multiple times. And if you come to me with a product that I can't use in my architecture, that's pretty frustrating. So just to be able to know that ahead of time.
We're a healthcare organization, and so similar to the phone calls, coming through the front door on our patient lines and things that have like expedited priority, it's a surefire way to ensure I'll never do business with you. It's trading on reputation that you shouldn't be.
And maybe one point on um, s- technology versus people. In the end, we are part of larger organizations, and I think what's really important is not thinking that your tech is going to solve our problems. It won't. What it'll do is it'll support, it'll catalyze, it'll enable. And so keeping in mind how the organization needs to evolve, the pace of that change, and then ultimately helping us de-risk some of this. Because when we work with startups, you may not be around. We wish you well. Of course, we want you to be around, but it may not happen. So I think it's really important that you help us de-risk the one shot that we'll give you.
I want to share one more. I had this happen a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, most of us going to have standard email formats, first dot last. It's not hard to figure out or go buy it. But when you reach out and then I give a response, and then a week later you reach out again and copy my boss, that's the dumbest thing I've ever. Like, I'm definitely never going to do business with you. So
So I had a nice young founder reach out to me recently. Uh, did his homework, as someone on the panel said, and uh, pulled on the heartstrings for the my alumni network, and it was thoughtful, and it was a professional, and it added, the initial reach out added value, and so we read those often, and so we might not always follow up, but yeah, I took the call, and so I think that's, you know, having not been on a founder myself, I think that's probably the hard part, but that thoughtful message, probably somewhat AI generated, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt. So yeah, it's a good job. He got a meeting.
Just for me, come from an industry angle. If you're part of my space and you understand it, and you want to solve MySpace's problem, like, our big challenge today is data centers and building those out, and everything depends on it. And you can help us figure out how to solve the macro and the micro and be part of our space instead of just drop into it because it's y- because cybersecurity is horizontal. Um, that's really important. If you can solve multiple problems for me, the industry challenge and the cybersecurity challenge, that'd be huge.
Reached to me through my boss. Not CC my boss, but I had this couple of times, and I was very lucky to work with really really savvy security managers. And when they ask me to look into something, they probably have good idea why it's needed, why this company is going to make it, etc. Also through the colleagues, like someone I worked with or someone I worked for. Definitely, that's an easy way, and because we, like I said, already trust each other.
Yeah, so I think building upon that as you did the research and you know what wine I like, and so that's how we start, right? Sorry. Um, but I said that one thing is certainly is who my peers and who I respect, and you've worked with them already, and that you don't have them come out to me, but you can say, David, go reach out to them, and they'll tell you if this is a great solution. So that it really is a great. I will go waste of time to go talk to them and like, oh, okay. And then the third thing is I'm an engineering CISO. I really want to know about how does this really work. I'm not saying let's go pull up the code in the demo, but let's understand how it really works because that's where the credibility comes with me.
Yeah. So I think like everybody, I've almost like 100% of my purchases have come through referrals of trusted people. So your question is, how do I get to the trusted people? And so, well, I mean, I'm like looking at Renee over there. She's a trusted person, Ed Amorosa, who um, referred me to about 3 different companies. So I just have trusted people that, I reach out, hey, who does this? And they tell me and I talk to them. What I had to throw in a negative. What bothers me is when the companies are sold and then they don't give you that same level of support. Or after you make the purchase, then once you make the purchase and you don't have the same level of support. And that is a common issue.
Well, it's kind of like when you buy the camera, brochure is glossy, but once you buy it, how to use it, and you like
Yeah, I'll add one. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of success stories. I personally love startups, but I know a lot of CISOs don't, or maybe their CFOs don't, and so they can't use them. I would just echo what's already said. After you meet at events like this or smaller conferences, um, I'm happy to do referrals as well, and I'm thinking most CISOs are. I mean, obviously within reason, and that's certainly when we have our Slack network or whatever, and we're asking, hey, I've got this problem to solve. If 2 or 3 of them, or if you know that they can reach out, that is obviously the best way. Just, and I haven't had anybody do this, but just don't abuse it, right? Obviously, 1 or 2, conversations every couple of months is certainly the great way to help solve a problem.
Don't align your fiscal year to the calendar and come to me at the end of December to ink a deal.
Yeah, I would say mine is again, work with us when I had one example recently where somebody was going to displace a product I had. And they were willing to come in, actually look at the product, not talk bad about it, say, here's the differences. And oh, by the way, we'll throw in a year free if you sign a multi-year. Of course, that was a no-brainer for me.
Understand our purchasing cycle. So when I was at NetApp, I could just purchase. At this recent company, it had to take like 10 months of building a business case and have all these different parties analyze it. And then you call and say, hey, you think you can have this done by the end of the quarter? And it just doesn't work. Purchasing cycles are very different in all our companies.
Be ready to cut a deal. You're new. You need to prove yourself. Show us that your product worth it, and go from there.
Building on those things, make it really easy. One is like if you have your separate purchase agreement and legal terms, guess what? That's 6 months. The second thing is making the POC like so viral. Yeah, I could set up in 5 minutes and test it out. And let's not worrying about 6 months of licensing agreement.
Thank you so much.